Now, 100 years today since women voted for the first time in a general election in the UK. 8.5 million women were eligible, but it was still another decade before they had equal voting rights to men.
Throughout this suffrage year, we've looked at some of the incredible stories of the women who originally fought for those rights, and the campaign is still battling today. Jane McCubbin has been meeting some of those inspirational women.
The 1918 vote is just the first step on the long road towards equality.
But it took another 10 years for equal franchise.
By 1928, all women are finally able to vote. More and more begin to work. But by 1930, women are paid only half the rates paid to men.
That started to change in 1956 with the very first equal pay reform. But only teachers and civil servants were deemed worthy.
A decade later, another milestone is passed.
It was the 1967 Abortion Act. I personally think it was one of the most fundamental reforms of the 1960s. It gave women power over their reproductive lives.
In 1968, women at Dagenham Car Factory make a stand, a fight which leads to the Equal Pay Act.
I became the first woman to fight and win the first equal pay case. We all agreed and couldn't understand why myself as a woman was being paid different and yet had the same qualifications.
In 1974, there came a momentous year for the women's liberation movement with this. The pill finally available not only to married women, but to single women.
And then, in 1979,
Her Majesty, the Queen, has asked me to form a new administration, and I have accepted.
But even in 1979, it would still take another year for women, including the Prime Minister, to be able to apply for a mortgage or a loan in their own name.
the pace of change is moving fast. In 1997, we are introduced to Blair's Babes, a landmark moment for women in politics. And in 2001, a landmark moment for women in love.
As two lesbians, Carol and I were able to sign the partnership register.
And we're still madly in love.
Women were finally starting to smash through the glass ceiling in all kinds of ways.
In 2004, I became the first woman in 40 years to have composed and conducted a symphony.
Women have come so far down the road to equality, but ask these women where we are today and they will tell you
there's still so much more to be done.
Only 32% of MPs are women.
Women are still paid a fifth less than men. It's still happening. It's still going on.
Less than a third of CEOs in the FTSE 100 are women.
Keep fighting, that's what I say. The old message of eternal vigilance was never more needed.
I really don't want to have to wait for another 100 years, nor does any other woman.
It's very inspirational hearing those voices, isn't it?
Lovely piece.